Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Talk Tuesday for March 7th. We are so happy that you can join us for this hour, and we have an exciting presentation planned for today. Just to go quickly through today's agenda, so we welcome you. I'm Christine Killowen from CERC. I'm here with my colleague, Anne-Marie Cardisco. And Steve Profit will be joining us soon, and we are hoping he will. I'm also here with our CSDE partners and colleagues, Kari Sullivan-Custer and Jay Brown. Today, we have a kind of very special presentation for you on district and school attendance teams. CSDE and CERC have kind of come together to give you some information, and some of the information that we're going to deliver came from Attendance Works. If you were in the e-learning series, some of these pieces came from there, but we would like to bring them here and really talk about them and have the conversation, because we know teaming structure is so important and essential to making decisions around attendance and strategies for improvement. At the end, I will close with some upcoming just attendance and engagement meetings. So we'll stay for the end for that. What's new at CSDE? So here's just some recent things that were posted. You're invited to the CSDE and Teach Rock Partnership Cohort 3. There's also a Connecticut Toy Council Scholarship Opportunities for Teachers of Color. Division of Emergency Management has out that FEMA Youth Preparedness and Council applications are due. Also, the Connecticut Physical Fitness Assessment Individual Student Data Collection application is now open. An application for state adult education funds, so funding and application procedures are within that. And Challenge to Educational Citizenship Award Program. So if you're interested in any of those topics, then just click on the link. It will bring you right to it. But there's also the QR code. We also have the link to the main page. If you're looking for more information or what some of these things might mean, or do they apply to you? Okay, and I'm going to turn this over to Kari right now.
Good morning, everyone. It's so great to see so many people here this morning. I'm smiling because we have our January data. And we did see a decline in chronic absence in January. We got over that sort of hump of the respiratory triple threat that we had. Hopefully kids are starting to feel better and coming to school. This slide compares our student groups to last year. Unfortunately, I don't have a slide that compares January to December, but trust me, every single group reduced their chronic absence. Most of the districts that I know I work closely with saw a reduction of about 2 or so chronic absence points. So we're going back in the right direction in January. Hopefully we'll see that continue in February. I'm hearing good things from the districts I'm working with, but let's just take a deep breath and say, well, that's great, right? So we also have spring slump coming. So this is a really important time for strong school attendance teams and district attendance teams, and to be really proactive and innovative about, removing barriers to school, but also creating opportunities where kids want to be in school. Like, what can we do that brings them to school? And a lot of March Madness going on right now, and different kinds of incentives and fun activities, competition. One school, I think in New Haven, had a staff volleyball competition, and attendance was super high that day. Everybody wanted to see the teachers kind of be silly and play volleyball. So happy to see the numbers going in the right direction. Does anybody have any questions about that, or want to share any bright spots, success stories, or anything that they've seen in their data that they'd like to maybe share? No? Okay. So we have our QR code there for you, and I put links in the slides to the actual spreadsheets where you get your school and district level data. So when you go to the monthly attendance page, you have to click on those spreadsheets and download them and manipulate them to be able to see your own district's data. All right, next slide, please. So this is something we're super excited about. Last Talk Tuesday, we had Francisco Bares and Caroline Calhoun from EdAdvance, and Francisco's from CREC, who helped us launch LEAP with 15 school districts, and they told you about the LEAP evaluation. Well, last week, we had the name of the group, the Collaborative for Student Success, launched sort of a mini documentary video on LEAP, and we wanted to share that with you today. It's just a couple minutes, and well, a few minutes. And we want to thank, I see Susan Ferguson here with us today, and Torrington, who are featured in LEAP. So I just wanted to share this spotlight on LEAP with you this morning.
The last 2 or 3 years since COVID, we've had a lot of children who've been out of school. Kids are just missing a lot of learning.
No matter what kind of strategies that we put in the classroom, no matter the quality of our educators, if our students are not there in person, connected and engaged, then learning will not occur.
When this COVID relief money was coming into the picture, the state of Connecticut did a really terrific job of sort of being mindful about how best to use that money to serve our population of students.
The LEAP project really was our answer to chronic absenteeism.
I think LEAP was so successful because you had a trusted member of the community knocking on your door saying why we want your kid back in school. Her friends miss her. The teacher was asking about her. Any concerns you have, would you like to come and meet the teacher? Those personal contacts made a big difference in getting our kids back into the classroom.
LEAP stands for Learn, Engage, and Attendance, and that's the focus of the grant and the funding and the program, because we want students to learn and engage.
It starts with having conversations with families on how to get their children to school, but then it goes beyond that. I've been on home visits where families were struggling with finding food. They need resources for the baby. Their child is really struggling developmentally, having trouble with health issues.
As a home visitor, I really support the family. I go to their house and listen to them and care about them.
I have to push my daughter. I tell her all the time, you have to be better than me. I was working in the factory. I have carpal tunnel in my both hands. I don't want it for my daughter. I wanted you to have a better job than me. Claudia heard my daughter go to school, and now she goes into college.
Home visiting for many years has had this connotation that it's punitive. LEAP has shown that there is a way to do home visiting that lifts up, applauds for what you're trying to do, but also reminding you that, okay, there might be something that you're falling down on, but how can we support you in getting your student back on track and in schools?
It's about that trusting relationship, because if that relationship is there, the parent sees the value and the student sees the value and understands the value of what school is, then you see improved attendance. Then they want to come to schools.
The LEAP program led to approximately a 15 percentage point increase in attendance among those students who participate in the program. We're talking about an increase in attendance that is moving these students from chronically absent to an attendance rate that is more similar to other students.
The impact of just a single home visit on a child's attendance over time had an immediate impact of about 4% in 1 month, but 6 and 9 months later, that student's attendance was still improving.
The program actually was effective across a broad base of student attributes, including race and ethnicity, gender, free or reduced price lunch status, and even students with a disability.
With the infusion of a vast amount of money from the COVID relief dollars, it became necessary to have a mechanism to study how well these initiatives were working.
I think all of the evidence and the proof that we've collected shows, yes, absolutely, LEAP could and should be funded beyond these ARPA dollars, beyond the ESSER dollars. I think the data, though, is most powerful when coupled with those anecdotes. So the things you're hearing from on-the-ground home visitors, that's what makes it come alive.
Sometimes it's just one person to make the difference in the life of a child or a parent or a teenager.
Thank you, Christine, and Holly. I really appreciate that. We did have, we have quite a few leapers on our call right now. I can see just in my screen here, we had 15 districts participate. We have 14 now, but Susan Ferguson, John Turbin, Carly Reyes from Bridgeport, John from Norwich, Susan Laria, Rachel Newer from New London and Stanford and Hartford. Lots of great work going on in these districts around LEAP. And LEAP is an approach at home visits. That's positive relational home visits. We are offering LEAP 101 training for districts that are not funded with LEAP funds. You can take this approach. You can take the LEAP 101 training, even if you don't receive the LEAP grant. Just contact me and I can help you with that. We've gotten requests from trainings from many districts. And we also have, many states who are interested in LEAP now. So, and Canada. So we're really excited about this homegrown home visiting project program that's now research-based. Our Commissioner Charlene Russell Tucker is going to present it this afternoon to the Interagency Council, and we'll be sharing the video with them as well. The Interagency Council for Ending the Achievement Gap is chaired by the Lieutenant Governor, and it is represented, all the council members are the commissioners of all the state agencies that touch children. So she's sharing this afternoon and the results of the evaluation with them as well, so that we can connect. And also, one of the things she said to me yesterday when I met, and this is, the reasons we're finding for kids who are missing so much school, all of these state agencies need to work together to support them with housing and food and all of the resources that we need, transportation, all the reasons we're hearing why students aren't coming to school, mental health services. So thank you to all the LEAP districts who are here today. And we did record that Talk Tuesday from 2 weeks ago. So if you're interested in seeing that, you can go to the Talk Tuesday webpage and you'll find it there with the slides. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about today is I was playing with some data over the summer, and I showed this slide before, but I wanted to represent to you how the increase in the number of districts and schools that are now required by state law to have school and district attendance review teams. They don't have to be a designated team, but they have to be a team that does the functions of the attendance functions, looks at the data, analyzes the root causes, comes up with a tiered approach to addressing chronic absence. What are we doing for climate and culture in tier 1? What are we doing for those students who are tier 2, who have around 10 to 15%, 8 to 15% chronic absence? And we still have an opportunity to help them so that they don't finish the year chronically absent. And so the yellow line is the percentage of districts that are required to have chronic absence. It was about 30% before the pandemic. And then we were improving. If you see from 2018 to 2019, we actually reduced the number of districts, but now we're up to 86.5%. That's almost all our districts. So if I'm talking to you and you're on this call, you probably are required to have a district attendance review team. And that means if you have a district attendance, a chronic absence rate of 10% or higher, and honestly, there's not apparently not that many that are 10% or lower, you're required to have a district attendance team. And if your schools have a chronic absence rate of 15% or higher, they are also required to have a school attendance review team. It's strongly, we're going to go through some of what was on the e-learning series we just finished up with Attendance Works. It was 3 sessions, and we were filled to capacity. We had to turn people away, but we wanted to make sure that those folks who weren't able to attend, and even others who were there, can continue to have this conversation about the role of school attendance teams and the duties and responsibilities. So one of the things that is key to these is that they're administrator led. There's an administrator from the district or school who's leading this work. So it's not a 1 or 2 person, 3 people, social workers or school counselors who come together and do this work. It needs to be part of a whole school approach. So I want to share this data with you. I think that's my last slide, and I'm going to turn it over to Christine so we can begin a conversation around school or continue a conversation around attendance teams. Thank you.
Thank you, Kari. So before I really begin into the meat of it, I really wanted to bring out this resource. It has been available for a while now, but it's something that's very valuable. So the Reducing Chronic Absence in Connecticut Schools, this prevention intervention guide for schools and districts, really breaks down and talks a lot about the core components, but especially it gives a lot of information around what attendance teams looks like, the function of them, and exactly what you need to have in place to really make it effective. And that's really what we're looking for, any type of teaming structure in your school, but especially when we're talking about attendance and looking through attendance data, we want it to be effective and efficient. We want to make sure that whatever we're setting forward with our goals, that we have a strategy or something that we're going to put in place as an intervention that's going to work. So this resource is really beneficial and help guide you through. It's not very long, so it is worth just the read, and it's worth really having available for a reference as well.
Can I just say a couple words about that?
Go right ahead.
You know, the way that it's organized makes it very simple to share with others. It is, what is chronic absence? What is average daily attendance? Why is chronic absence important? And then the best chapters, I personally think, are what can schools do? What can districts do? And within there are examples of tiers, in tiers of activities that you can do and interventions and strategies. So I just wanted to share that. Don't ignore that. It needs to be updated a little, but it's still a really valuable resource.
Exactly. And one of the key functions is listed out in there for your district attendance and school attendance teams. And really looking at these kind of three core features, really looking at the data. How are we routinely unpacking, analyze, utilizing it? And the key to this one is inform your action. So how are you making those database decision-making determinations? And if it's not that routine piece, if it's not that quicker turnaround time to really look through it, it's going to be harder to analyze and utilize to really make an impact. And really, you want to organize a systemic district-wide response, and adding that policy and practice for improvement within there. Your district needs to have that plan, and then your school can branch from that. And then you could put together those best practices for improvement. What works for the district? What can work for your school individually? And talking about those things and reviewing them along with your data to make sure that that system-wide practice and the district-wide practice is efficient and effective and working. And how are we going to promote that shared accountability and that continuous improvement? How are we going to have the conversations? How are we going to discuss it? How are we going to know what kind of data points we need to discuss? And how are we going to know what action steps need to be put in place to help guide our thinking? So that's one reason Attendance Works came in, to really give us a really great series, especially our session 2, where they focused a lot on the teaming structure. I found it very valuable because, like I've mentioned in the beginning, if your teams aren't meeting regularly and they're not able to have that time and that space to talk and make the decisions, you can't put action steps in place that are going to work. They're going to work for our students. So we want to make sure what we're putting in place is working. And again, Attendance Works did a great job with that. So we want to give them all the credit for the next few slides that we're going to take you into, because reducing chronic absence requires that team approach. It requires the collaborative to happen. And it requires to have those systematic steps of how to work through the conversations that you're having. So one thing we decided to do is just to give you a little bit of the recording of what exactly Attendance Works talk to us about on session 2, but it's only going to be a few minutes because we know some of you have attended, but these are nice. If you haven't attended, it's nice information to have. And if you did attend, it's a great refresher for this piece. But I'm just going to play a little bit of it so that they could walk you through some of those essential steps and components of the functions of an attendance team.
How do you
is to organize and facilitate a school-wide attendance strategy and ensure it's an integral component of the school's plan to improve outcomes for all students. So it's not to work in isolation, but it's really to work school-wide. It's to organize everyone to do the work and not just do the work by one person. And the team is not just there for the students with the most absences, the most complicated situations. It's really for all students. Next slide. So let's talk about the attendance functions of a school team, and you can move these along. It's to organize a multi-tiered attendance strategy that begins with prevention and early intervention. It doesn't start with tier 3, but really think about that prevention and early intervention. You're looking at your...
I don't know what happened. Sorry. Hold on one moment. For some reason, it cut out on us. My apologies, everybody.
Hetty, how do you feel about going ahead and getting started?
Somebody mentioned that's an important piece to what you want to look at. You want to look at groups of students that have higher or lower levels of absence. You want to identify those assets, barriers, and strategies that affect attendance. You want to mobilize everyone in the school community, because this is not a one-person job. This is, we need to get everyone involved. And the next thing is, it's important to monitor and review. Are you making a difference? Does it need to be adapted? Does it need to be tweaked? These are all the functions that we're going to be talking about over the next 2 sessions. Next slide, please. So we're going to take time and listen to a video and watch the attendance team in action.
It's not necessarily targeting individual kids. It's targeting when there are patterns present in your school community that are affecting large numbers of kids.
I talked to this kid actually, and he is doing a lot better as far as getting to school. He's at 94% attendance.
I think the biggest systemic change was putting the attendance team together.
So devise the plan and then follow through. Get the right people on the team who can move the plan.
Trust is one.
And then make sure you follow up.
Our attendance team consists of our attendance clerk, our truancy officer for the district, the teacher on special assignment for our school, and our school psychologist.
Good morning. Hi, Bridgewater.
Ours includes social workers, admin, and our student support person. And so then that expands to investing teachers who might have a relationship with the child to do the home visit or to do the outreach.
When I said I needed an attendance team, we needed to be able to work together on attendance, then everybody wanted to, join in. The nurse said, I'll do this. And the counselor said, well, I can do this. So that's when my nurse got in it, and she started saying, well, I'll call parents and just let me get those that are missing or absent, and I'll start calling. We'll see what's going on.
Thank you. Next slide, please.
It's not necessarily targeting individual.
Can't get enough of hearing from Hetty. So what we want to think about is who should be on the team. Leadership is really key. It's really important to have a school principal, assistant principal, dean. The team should be led by the administrator, and the attendance team benefit from that diverse membership. And here's a list of potential people who can be on the team. And what's important is to draw that expertise from around the school. And sometimes it's the role, and sometimes it's the individual. There's one school team that has been in existence for a number of years, and their speech and language pathologist wanted to be part of that team. Typically, I wouldn't suggest necessarily have a speech and language pathologist, but it was a perfect match because she was passionate about it, and she became the connector to the special ed team that was part of that school. So, and she's been a great advocate for that in that school, and a great advocate for students. And she also notices students who are outside of people she works with. So that's been great. So just to think about how the members can be reflective of the school's diverse community. And that teams should also reach out to students and families for their input. Now, thinking about, each school has many committees, many teams. You don't necessarily have to have a standalone attendance team. Because there's no shortage of committees in the schools, we need to establish which teams can actually incorporate the conversation about attendance in their existing team function. So look at all the teams that currently operate in your school by purpose, membership, and meeting schedule. Think about, is there any redundancy? Could your PBIS or RTI or MTSS or grade level teams consider if different teams can assume responsibility for each tier? For example, in one middle school that I know, they use the grade level team to do an initial review of the attendance and some initial tier 2 strategies, such as if the teachers were noticing that students were absent, to make that initial positive call to the family to say, I miss your child. This is what your child does well in the school. I really look forward to seeing them, or checking in with the student. And then they had a school-wide MTSS team that reviewed if the absence continued and look at more intensive type strategies. So there's all sorts of ways that you can coordinate with different teams and see what works best for your school. Next slide. Just to remember that if you want to map out the teams that you have, here's a tool that you can use. You can just list all the teams, the purpose, and it's just a way to help yourselves organize which teams are the ones that can incorporate attendance. Just remember, one person is not a team. Okay, let's take a poll. What teams?
Okay, so I just wanted to stop for a moment just to kind of move us along a little bit, because I want to review some of the stuff in the slides that they have. We did attach the slides here so you can utilize those as well. At any point, you might want to re-reference them or even use a little bit of them to show your teams kind of what the focus and the structure should be. So as she mentioned in the video clip, that the attendance teams have a function, and these are like those 4 components of really what the function. And what I love is comparing it to the document that I showed you earlier. Really looking through the guidance document to see, because that talks also about kind of that purpose, that goal of the teams, and those 3 things that should be the core. And these are kind of the function styles around them and how you can embed these right into your team. Also, she reviewed this, who should be on the team. We want always equal representation from all parts of your school community. And at any time, you might need somebody else to join the team, because you might be talking about maybe a tier 2 intervention, a group of students that you're really trying to target and meet. So really always reviewing who's in the school and really how do you utilize that support as well. Go right ahead, Kari.
I was just wondering, as you look at this list, and it's a pretty extensive list, are there people who aren't represented here that you have on your team who you found very helpful? Yeah. Anyone want to share? I know sometimes, I don't know if it's here, but the attendance clerks, the secretary at the front office who welcomes families, right? That's right, Candace. The school-based health center. Think about, there's lots of different people, and even sometimes families. Depends on what you're talking about at that particular meeting. If you're not talking about specific student data, but you're talking about data in the aggregate, it may be helpful to have student or youth represented on your school attendance team if it's periodically. It doesn't have to be at every meeting, but have them come in, right? That's right, special educators.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, fantastic. And then also she covered kind of determining which teams will assume what functions within the attendance team. So thinking of your multi-tiered systems of support, thinking of how you're moving from the different parts from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3, thinking about how you're considering, especially at tier 1, all the factors that you need to consider as a school-wide structure. So map all the teams kind of that currently operate in your school and look at the membership, look at the meeting schedule, identify those overlaps. What are those attendance responsibilities? How can they be integrated? Considering different teams can assume different responsibilities, so you're not reinventing that wheel. You're not working smarter, not harder, we say, but really kind of having that focus. Determine if a team needs to be established, because you might have one operating already and they're operating really well. Then this is a part to add in if it hasn't been added in already on a continual and routine basis. One thing I really loved is she mentioned also the map of school teams. I will provide this link when I send out the follow-up. You're going to get a lot of links this time, because we are going to be linking all of these documents so you can utilize them whenever you need to and make them your own for your school. Attendance Works has great resources. So really this is kind of a working smarter, not harder type of a matrix, because you're looking at your team names throughout your school, the purpose behind them, who the membership is, and how frequently do they meet, because you might find that place for your attendance team right within what's already there. And then the suggested attendance items for the teams. And we find this to be like really some essential components, but it's not a cumulative list of everything, because you might find a need that needs to go into your agenda that doesn't even fall under these categories. But really looking at the aggregate of data trends, always looking at the data and reviewing the data on a continual basis. Looking at those patterns. When you're looking at the data, what are the patterns we see? Because those will also speak to you about where tier 2, and tier 3, especially your needs lie, but it will also talk to you if there's a tier 1 system that you need to improve upon. Because a lot of times it could be a system issue, not a student issue. And sometimes we always go to the student issue, but maybe our school needs to look at something a little bit differently. Looking at our tiered systems of support, really looking at tier 2 and tier 3 students that are receiving these supports. Again, how can we help them? What do they need? Having those conversations around that. And then those decisions are what we call action steps next. These are just some tips for core team roles, because you always do want to have that team facilitator leader, that data coordinator. There's always that one person that's really great with data. I know not everybody has that realm, and that's okay, but we want to find that person who loves and enjoys it and is willing to really be a part of this. And you want that note taker, that minute keeper, because you really want to know what happened during your meeting and what your next action steps are. You want to capture that great discussion that you're having. So really looking how to and also making sure it's not all on one person's shoulders. Build the capacity around that as well. Invite other people to join the team so building capacity can happen at a higher level. These are just some common pitfalls that Attendance Works brought to the presentation, because these are the things that derail teams, I call it. They take the teams that are starting to function really well, and all of a sudden these things happen and the team loses that great momentum that they have. And you want to make sure that you're avoiding these. These are the things not to do, and the things to see preventative wise if they're on the horizon, to try to avoid them. You don't want to work in isolation. You want to rally the whole school. You want people to know the information. You want to share it on a continual basis. You want to promote this, especially when the data is showing some great improvement, or just like we saw with our January data, we see some improvement. Share that. Get your staff involved and get your staff rallying behind you. You don't want to just focus on the students with the most absences, all students. We want to look at this information all the time. We want to take those subgroups and drill them down and really know we're meeting those needs. And case management as a sole strategy, that unfortunately won't get you too far, because you're only isolating one thing again. You want to look at it as a whole. You don't want to jump to solutions. You want precision. When you're looking at your data, you want to go with a great understanding of where that data is. So you don't want to jump, and we have a tendency in education to go from a problem and we want a solution. We want it to be an informed one. We want to look at our data so we're making a precision statement. And the team composition, We want to make sure it reflects all demographics. We want those cultural realities of the student population to be represented. So this is a resource that we put in here. It's fantastic. Kari and I have talked about this, and we've actually been using it in some of our other trainings that we do work on with attendance. And it's really that school team self-assessment. How well does your school do, or where are they right now? And I will definitely add this link into the follow-up email that I give you, because it takes the team through a lot of the core components that make a team effective. And you can use it right now where your team is at as a benchmark. It could be like your beginning benchmark to see, okay, these are the areas of improvement, let's improve this. And then along the way, you could also use the self-assessment to see growth, because it will really make it, again, your team will, that accuracy and consistency that it talks about, you want that. You want to move the momentum to address these attendance either issues or celebration of what great things are happening. And you're only going to do it when the team comes together. You want to make sure reaching out to both students and families and community partnerships. Is that part of the conversation to your team? And how well does your team really function as a whole? How do we monitor the progress? How are we looking at our tiers of support? How are we looking at the data? So Kari, I see your hand is raised. Go right ahead. Oh, I think you're on mute though.
Thank you. One of the things I love about, there's a school self-assessment tool and a district self-assessment tool. And I put the link to the self-assessments page so you can see all of them in the chat. But it's also a learning tool. Like when people take this assessment, what they do is you have your team members take it on their own, and then you collect it and you assess how everyone answered the questions to see where your team's perception is around how well you're doing on the different topic areas. But if they learn throughout taking this assessment of what they should be doing and what they should be considering as a team. And I just think I think all school attendance teams, especially ones that are just getting started, should use this and to onboard maybe even new members of your school attendance teams. That's it.
I love it. Thank you so much. That's perfect. And a lot of times you're going to be celebrating some great things you're doing well. Whenever we do these benchmarks assessments with any kind of teaming structure, we find you're doing some great things. It's just finding those areas maybe to tweak and improve a little bit. And going through that, how well does your team, that kind of list, that little checklist there. How well even are you identifying the barriers and equities? Because you're going to start to see that as you have the conversations. When you look at the data and talk about it, you'll start seeing that, especially in tier 1, where you can improve that more as a school-wide focus. And again, this will also be seen throughout your school as a necessary teaming structure. And I think that's the big thing, is people know that we're taking this, we're not only looking at this with this informed lens, like Kari was talking about, but we're making action steps and decisions that are for improvement. And so sharing what your team do as much as possible with the school is also a benefit.
There's also a planning tool after you take the self-assessment that Attendance Works created to help you plan based on the results.
And I'll make sure to include that link as well. You'll get a lot of links in your follow-up email. And I just put this last slide in here because really focusing, and Attendance Works did a great job in session 2 of going through tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and those foundational supports as well. Make sure, and we'll provide the links too for the recording, to really look through, those tiers, because they talk explicitly about some interventions that can be done for improvement, some of the conversations that you should be having within these tiers. And again, these are, they're giving these kind of benchmark or range of kind of decision rules around, when you need to consider, or how many students should be considered within these tiers for how many days that they're missing. So you'll see the student missing 10 to 19% or 20% or more. And I always say with the ranges too, it all is dependent on your school. And that's why the team has to talk about that and really watch those percentages as well, to have the conversation around it. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of a breakout session because it is a Talk Tuesday. We want you to talk, but also we want you to kind of connect with each other a little bit. So kind of these are questions to consider in the breakout, and we want you to consider what teams in your school address attendance, because it might fall under one of these teaming structures right here, and it's okay. We just want you to have the conversation of what already exists to have that. And what is the current goal, function, and structure of the team? In that is even how often do you meet? Because sometimes it is hard, but what is maybe the goal of how often that you want to meet, and how can we improve to meet with a more routine turnaround time? So really the two questions are what teams already exist in your school, and what do they look like? And having that. So Kari, how long do you think you would like the breakouts for?
Let's do, what time is it? Let's do 10 minutes. Does that sound like enough, or we could do longer if you want?
No, I think 10 is perfect because we want them to come back out, hopefully share something with us would be great. And then just a few minutes for wrap up as well.
We don't do breakout groups because a lot of people leave during breakout groups. So I hope you enjoy them if you stay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
All right, and I'll try to make them, okay. Okay, and let me know if you need any help to get into one. And they should be open now.
Holly, can you make me a co-presenter so I can see the breakout groups?
I believe Christine has to, since she's host.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
I am host. Okay. Let's see. And Holly, can we, I guess we don't have to pause the recording. Could we pause the recording or?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Welcome back, everybody. We thank you for coming back and joining us. We just have a few more minutes, but in that few minutes, I would love to hear some report outs, or just maybe even an overall takeaway that you talked about together. Please feel free to raise your hand or just open your mic. We'd love to have that conversation.
Christine, I can jump in and share a little bit about what we talked about in our breakout group.
Thank you.
One of the things that resonated for several of us in the group was from a district perspective, schools, we might view school attendance teams doing things slightly different, still effective, but wanting to provide an overall structure and still give them the autonomy to work within their school basically in the form that works best for them. So we discussed how, what that might look like in terms of providing that structure.
I love that you focus on that autonomous piece, because we have these core functions and goals, but they're still a unique school within themselves and they know what works best for them. So working within that framework and saying, but this is what we need and this is how we need to achieve this. Lynn, thank you for that. I love that district focus around that.
I can jump in here.
Oh, great. Go right ahead. Thank you, Kenneth.
Go ahead. Okay. We spoke in our group about the reactive, which everyone we respond to, daily phone calls and, meetings and stuff with our families. We also mentioned some of our proactive tools that we're using. And I shared for us at Booker T, Washington and New Haven. We are looking, of course, at our trimester, to kind of recognize our scholars for that. And we did recently for our 100 days of school. But, in addition to that, we do recognize that some of our scholars will never make a full trimester or a full 30 days of school. So we have been looking into recognizing weekly efforts. So we've looked at celebrating every week for the last month, with some little Friday incentives, whether we have some popcorn, some little fruit snacks, some of those, low-hanging fruits, just kind of get them in, for especially when we had that 3 days back from our winter break. We just kind of got a lot of more scholars in those 3 days because it's an easier target just to get into those 3 days as opposed to 5 days for some.
Yeah, Kenneth, I love that. And I love how you're looking at your current reality, because that's your current data and where you stand and how you can support those within just that frame and give them what they need and do that more. Okay, how can we add to that and not be so reactive? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great. Anybody else? All right. Well, no, I thank you all for sharing and
I'm sorry, I was muted. I just have a couple things to say because we only have a couple more minutes. And one is feel free to share these resources with your school attendance team, maybe watch some of this video as a team and share the resources. The other thing is I heard in one of the breakout groups, our truancy numbers are really high. And I just wanted to probably say something a little risque. I want to say that truancy is based on unexcused absences. So how can we decrease the number of unexcused absences? How can we go that extra mile to find a way to understand why that student's absent? It may be the mother doesn't know she needs to write a note. It may be that she doesn't have health insurance and can't take the student to the doctor. I'm not saying don't go by the guidelines, but go that extra mile to find out if there really is a reason why that student is out of school, and maybe be a little more flexible with families on how it's documented, either with a school nurse or someone else. So the way to reduce truancy is to reduce the number of unexcused absences. And I do think there are students who have unexcused absences who, if there was a little more effort on the school's part or someone's part at the school, it might have been an excused absence. It's a little risky, but I'm just going to say it because that student will still be counted as chronically absent. And that's the number that really is research-based around whether or not students are going to succeed in school. So I just want to put that out there. And I also just want to thank Christine so much for your leadership in this Talk Tuesday. It was the Talk Tuesday that almost didn't happen. I'll be honest with you, because we had some things not line up for us. And Christine, based on feedback we've been getting from the field, said, let's talk about school attendance teams. And I just want to commend Christine on an excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you, Car. It's my pleasure. And it's something I'm very passionate about because when teams come together, again, they do great things. So, and we can't do it without you guys. You guys are really, the ones bringing these pieces together on a day-to-day basis. So I do thank you and for your dedication to this. And that leads us to, also, I wanted to make sure to put into the link into the PowerPoint, but this is the link that will lead you to the Talk Tuesday page where the resources for session 1 and session 2 are listed on the page. So feel free if you see anything from Attendance Works from those sessions or just want to rewatch them or resources. But again, I will follow up with a full email full of resources for you. We love our resources. They're great. So our Talk Tuesdays, and again, I didn't want to commit to putting anything on here quite yet, but we will be talking some topics coming up. We'll be summer programming, getting ready. I know we're heading into kind of that March and April. So thinking of some things for getting kids to, still be engaged and move that engagement movement. 504 students and how to support the 504 area. That is a topic we heard come up several times. So we're going to bring some solutions to that as well. And Kari, did I leave anything off the list?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, and we're kind of getting to a quick end of the year with only a handful more to go, but we're going to really make it so we're setting you up for that success from the end of the year, even carrying you over into where you need to be for next year as well. So hopefully, if you have any suggestions at all, feedback, or just want to get in touch with us, our emails are on the last slide. Also, the one note to add, if it is a registration question or a link question, I'm gonna have Holly Ryan put her email in the chat along with Lauren Johns. They really handle, they're amazing behind the scenes with making sure you guys get the links and you're registered, or those last minute pieces. A lot of times once Talk Tuesday starts at that 10 a.m., if you just email me, I probably won't get it until after Talk Tuesday, just because we're in the space. But feel free to CC me, but reach out to Lauren or Holly if something does come up. Other than that, I thank you all for joining, your participation. It was really a great Talk Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,